That's me. All in favor? Adoption of the minutes. Recommendation that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on July 8th, 2026 be adopted. Councillor McCabe, Councillor Evans, all in favor? Thank you. We have delegations here. So the Sycamoose Legion Branch 99 commemorative crosswalk installation. Jeff is not here. Who's in charge of that delegation?
They were advised and we're planning on attending.
Is Jeff, is he like a minute away?
Maybe he thought it was at 3 and not 1
or 5.
No,
Or 5. Maybe he thought it was at 5.
Yeah, I talked about that today. They didn't answer this.
Pardon?
I was under the impression that it was at 5:00.
No, that's when we vote on it, but this is where we discuss it. So he's the discussing guy.
Well, can we just go on and just move it?
Move it?
Yeah.
Do we want to move it towards to the end, or we can move it over to, let's see, and then we can move it over to regular if.
Why don't we for starters, let's just wait and see if Jeff joins us, and then, because it's a pretty flexy cow. It's not a lot going on here. Okay, so fast forward to Nicole for department updates.
Okay, through the chair. This is the Development Services Quarterly Update. It's for April to June of this year. We'll start with building, and unfortunately, our high for the year didn't last very long compared to last year. But I will say last year at this time, we had 425 mains, about $13 million going through. So we didn't have that this year, but that doesn't mean we don't have things coming. So we also had last year 2 buildings in 1002 Sycamoose Creek frontage. So we're not hitting the same as last year, but don't focus on that. Sounds like I am.
You're learning right off.
It's gonna be coming around soon. So we'll talk about that in the planning up. Most of the ones from this quarter are hitting the 100,000 mark. Next page, Bianca. And so we've been working through like a ton of building permit reviews on some of the stuff that have already been approved or will be coming. So 1010 Riverside and their marina building. I know the review of the multi-family dwellings just went out this morning, so it's kicked back into the applicant's hands, some revisions. They have started grubbing out on the site, which is great. 1002 Sycamoose Creek Frontage Road, I think I mentioned at the PDC, the Planning and Development Committee meeting. They have applied for their next building permit, which should come through in the next quarter. And then 222 Mara Lake Lane is expected to receive adoption tonight, which is super exciting. And so they have, the last I heard was about 36 dwelling units that we're working on with the architect. And then we've kicked off some further development at Wiseman Creek Court and Holt. So that's kind of all I had to say on the building side of things for this quarter, but I think from what we're seeing in planning, we're going to get a lot more coming.
Council, do you have any questions on this portion?
Okay. All right, bylaw. Short and sweet on this one. So the bylaw team opened up about 82 files this quarter, closed about half of those by the end of June. A lot of those are the common complaints that were related to zoning matters, so shipping containers, and good neighbor bylaw under yard maintenance. So those are the majority of the files for this quarter. Traffic complaints have increased as they usually do in the summer months, especially this month, which isn't in this quarter, but we've seen like a 50% increase in parking ticketing. Probably all I have to say on this piece. For bylaw.
Any questions? We have bylaw coming up later in the agenda as well. Okay, thank you. Yeah, carry on.
Okay. Couple more, there we go. Okay, so starting with development permits, development variance permits. So this is for anything that we've dealt with in the last few months. So a handful of development variance permits just to get people's building permits through. And then I've already mentioned some of the bigger ones. 100 Old Town Road has applied for their multifamily development permit. That's about 34 units. We're working on civil design with their engineer even today. Handful of water course development permits that would facilitate some building permits of some smaller projects in town. 1209 Shuswap Avenue. We have met with them recently to discuss their civil design. If you remember, they had two buildings, with 8 units across the region there. So they say they have their final civil package ready, and now we're just working out some of the details of how that's gonna go on the ground. I know 717 Capel Street, they had proposed a housing agreement and that was defeated by council, but they're still thinking about what they can do with that lot. So we met with them after that meeting to talk about some of their options. They haven't closed their file with us. Probably it on that page there. So for, OCP and zoning. We're still working with 800 Two Mile Road. That's the RV campground out there on a zoning proposal that would facilitate a Bearland Strata subdivision of those RV lots. We also have, well, I mentioned already 222 Merrill Lake Lane. That's up for adoption tonight. The Sycamoose Creek Frontage Road, they have a proposed rezoning coming up to support multifamily residential buildings where that old foundation is at 2 miles. So that's exciting for us. They applied for their rezoning. We'll present it to council at a future meeting, and they've already applied for their subdivision, and letters have gone out with conditions for them to start satisfying, so that hopefully the rezoning goes through. They can back to back do the subdivisions to start to get that into a phased Bearland Strata. And then of course, 1095 Shuswap Avenue, that's going to be coming to council tonight. So it's a proposal for the Old Haven lot. That's in our OCP and zoning world. And then subdivision, which doesn't typically come to council, but I wanted to just mention a handful of subdivisions, just lot line adjustments, a couple new lots here and there, but then the bigger ones like Sycamoose Creek frontage. Old Town development permit will also be a subdivision. They haven't quite applied yet, but I know at the last planning and development committee meeting, they intended to apply to us as soon as possible so they can get their conditions so that they can start marketing. Yeah, that's kind of a wrap up in the planning world. Oh, I guess there was one more spot here for other, because I don't know if council knows, we have other applications we work on, like property status inquiries, and it's usually when a realtor or a lawyer is working on the sale or purchase of a property and they want to know all the history of the property, and if there's anything that they need to know that's like a red flag. We processed quite a few of those in planning, and then a couple of the referrals that council had seen from BC Timber Sales, and then the brothers for their parking lot party, which I heard from pretty good. Okay.
Questions? I have a question on 800 Two Mile Road. Application and Hook property across Highway 97. Can you explain a little bit more about what does that look like?
That's 800 Two Mile or 01 Sycamoose Creek, because they're actually both unhooking right now.
800.
Yeah, the parcel of land it's one title and it's on both sides of the highway. So one of the subdivisions is to, I guess we call it unhooking the lots. So they would be separate lots, Sycamoose Houseboat and then the campground. They need to do that first, and then they can further subdivide the RV campground into a Bearland Strata. That's unhooking across the highway.
Did you have something to say? Anyone else? Questions? Okay, all right. Thank you, Nicole. All right, discussion items, District of Sycamoose correspondence handling process. Shauna, do you want to take this away?
Sure. I put, Bianca's put a illustration or a flow chart up on the screen for you guys as well, just so that we don't have to look at my boring staff report. But this item was brought forth just for clarity to council for how correspondence is handled, correspondence into the district from various sources. And then just how that correspondence is handled out so that we're being consistent and efficient, and the correspondence, not necessarily who it's addressed to, but what the subject matter is, that it's going to the appropriate department, person, mayor and council to ensure that it's handled. So yeah, I mean, it comes in, it gets sorted. If there's a question as to where it goes, the corporate officer, which is Dean, CAO, corporate officer, it is, discussed with them where it should go. Operational matters are referred to the departments. And then if correspondence is coming forth to mayor and council, it comes forth on the agenda packages. And there's correspondence for action and then just correspondence for your information. If it's correspondence that's associated with, let's say, a development application, public hearings, that sort of thing, it's held till that issue comes forth or that development comes forth, so that it can be handled in the context of, right? So that you're handling that when mayor and council are looking at that information, that they're looking at that all of that information together in the context of what it's appropriate for. Sometimes there's correspondence that comes in, invitations, that sort of thing. We submit those out to mayor and council if they're for mayor and council via email.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have, I haven't had a problem with how correspondence has been dealt with ever, so I'm quite comfortable with how we deal with it and how it's distributed. And if it does have my name on it, but it goes into correspondence for information for us in correspondence, and I'm good. You don't need to start sending me all the correspondence. I'm good with that. Councillor Bush.
Yeah, through the chair, and the reason I wanted it put on the agenda is because a lot of times we get a letter to mayor and council and we might not see it for months, and then they ask us, like yesterday, I was approached by Brenda Dizelle and she has a letter in and she says, when are you going to respond? Right. So I can't really answer because it's just, we got to respond together. Right. So I know our policy is written this way, but it just seems, it comes up quite a bit where we don't respond, or, and it says we're supposed to respond within 1 to 2 days, but our policy, but it all depends what it is, yes.
So to that particular one, that was sent to mayor and council, and I dealt with it, but I should have, and this one is on me. I dropped the ball here. I will get back to Brenda Delzell in the next day or two. I actually meant to do it yesterday, but that was an email to all of us. So that's why I just need to, I apologize. I dropped the ball on that.
Just for a matter of confirmations or clarification, I guess, when it either comes in through mail or email, post office, it's received, and typically, especially email, we respond back saying that we've received it. Not lots of times it's not actually responding to the issue. It's like, this has been received and we'll, forward it on to the appropriate person, department, if it's mayor and council, for action. But the response is the receipt of, and that's supposed to be done within a business day. And typically we do that if it's coming in through email or even through, unless it's being held for a specific item, and that would identify that this is for, maybe it's a development, a hearing, that sort of thing.
Go ahead, Councillor Bushell.
So if we, for that instance, I can't remember, did that one come to us individually or did that come?
It came to mayor and council on an email just to us, and then it was forwarded to, I think, to Shauna. But I did respond to Brenda when we got it and said, we will look into this, but I haven't given her and we did, and it's being handled, but I haven't got back to her saying, okay, I hope this is all going well now, but I will.
Yeah, just like I say, I don't know, like when you get one sent to mayor and council that comes through administration, it would be just nice if we responded, like even a CC, we responded to this, right? We received it. So then we don't, we're the ones that always get asked after council meeting during the week.
Councillor Rich and Councillor Bailey. Counselor Rich, you were breaking up really bad. We're in Cow. Do you want to try shutting off your video and just going with?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Siobhan, can't hear you.
Yeah.
They're not hearing you.
Okay, try now.
No.
Yeah. There's a real problem out there. Sorry, Siobhan, there seems to be a problem out there.
That's impossible.
I know it's. Siobhan, we can't hear you. Can you maybe text
Yeah.
your question or comment?
Yeah, I've got a bad voice too. I've
There you
got
go.
walking text.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Back where you were.
Almost had you there.
Okay, Counselor Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if just that a monthly package, it doesn't have to go into a council, agenda, because I can understand, I agree with staff on some of the confidentiality of that. But I just wonder if once a month, a package gets delivered to council, just as a FYI about some of the issues that came up and that staff have directed it to appropriate departments. The value I can see in that is just that councillors have an idea of some of the questions or some of the issues that were coming up. And that might just be something to be aware of, especially if you're out talking to people, say, hey, did you get my letter? That is that's a little awkward. But I also agree, like not having to put them all in the council agenda because, I think that would be overkill, but maybe just a rundown. Even if it's a rundown on the issues, I'd be fine with that versus seeing, I know it's a little bit more extra work, but I just thought if you collected them FYI in an email to council and said, here are the letters this month, and then go from there, maybe that's an easy solution to some of the concerns.
Can I just comment on that? I think that and in my 12 years, we've never had an issue of
I don't know.
correspondence. So I'd like to leave it in council's hands, and perhaps if folks want council to get a copy, they copy the council in. Or some of the letters that are addressed to mayor and council. They usually, they get to us. So maybe just a timeline on getting back to them quicker, maybe. Go ahead, Sean, and then.
Yeah, if I could,
Sure.
thank you through the chair. So, and I just want to clarify to where the concern is coming in, because sometimes correspondence will come in addressed to mayor and council, but for an operational item that's not under the purview of mayor and council. So what I'm hearing then from Councillor Bailey is if there could be a bit of a tracking of that and then an accountability back to council stating that this is what was received and this is the department that it was forwarded to because it was an operational item, and maybe the status of where it's at in progress, taken care of. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I don't even know if you need to go that far. All I would say is just give us the letter once a month if there's some concern. I don't have a problem with it, but I mean, there is some value in knowing what's actually being asked for if people are having some difficulties with a particular department or whatever. But I don't want staff to spend a lot of time on it. It could just be operational and dealt with, right? You can, just dump it in an email is really all I'm saying. I don't necessarily have an issue with it. I'm fine. The only thing I can see being a concern is that people do, when they send to mayor and council, they say, hey, did you get my letter? And if we don't, then it's a little awkward, like, no, sir, I didn't see your letter, right? Oh, why? I addressed it to you, right? And so I'm just trying to potentially bridge that gap, right? Certainly, council should not be involved in operational issues or anything like that, and staff need to manage that. But us just being generally aware of it, I don't think would be a bad thing either, if it was addressed to mayor and council.
Councillor Rich, then Councillor Evans, and Councillor McCabe.
Hey, is that any better?
Yeah, you're better.
Sorry, I don't have a voice, and then with the internet here, it's a whole different thing. Yeah, I just want my mail. So if it's mayor and council or to Councillor Rich, I just want to see it. And if, we get it twice, that it doesn't, it is not, like if it's for something certain, specific that's coming up in a month or two, I'll see it today and then you can attach it in a month or two. I think if it's attached to me, it should come to me. And that's just where I'm at.
Thank you, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I was just gonna clarify, just so I heard right. So when a letter is received, immediately we're getting a response, we've received your letter. So my second question then is, protocol for response. So, if, no, we know we have about 2 meetings a month, second and fourth Wednesday of the month. We'll always get letters. So if it's appropriate, it's gonna come to the meeting, right? And then, that's about as quickly as we can do it. Because if they want a response from mayor and council and it's not operational and it is our responsibility, then people would have to wait for that meeting to happen. Correct?
Yes.
Thanks. I was just clarifying.
Maybe, yeah, for it to get to mayor and council for us to have a look at it. Yeah, I don't see a savings yet of staff time or of response time. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, maybe we could get a summary from our CAO and his report and Dean's report, of correspondence that on what the issues are.
Councillor Beach and then Councillor Bailey or Councillor Bushell.
To the chair, I'm just thinking, I'm wondering if when you send out the letter that you've received, their correspondence, could we then, or do you tell them that it's likely that this will come to council either the halfway, at one of the meetings in the next, so that they understand that piece of the process, that it doesn't just immediately go out to all of the councillors? Is that something that we can add to the letter?
Go ahead, Shauna.
Want me to respond to you?
I'm still lost here. I don't know why we're asking for this. I don't understand, because people ask me, have you seen the letter I wrote to mayor and council? And I go, no, I haven't yet. Tell me about it. So I'm not sure if we need to dump more reports on staff that we're going to end up having to follow up on. This is going to have to be a resolution or a motion anyway. So I don't see this being a big deal. I'm sorry, I just can't, I'm not getting it. Okay, Shauna, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify for the record, it does not happen very often. And the majority of the time that where it is happening, it typically has something to do and is with regards to a development or something that is going to come forth at some point. So we have policy. So if it's something that's a matter of changing the policy, this is council's policy, but the policy is set up for best practices and efficiencies that items can get taken care of as quickly as possible. So other than some planning and development issues, and maybe it's more development where it might come in addressed to mayor and council and is sent to staff to be dealt with. Other than that, it doesn't happen very often. And yes, in response to Pam, when it does come in, we do say, this will be brought forth on the next council meeting. If it is something that would get brought forth either for action or for information, or if it's something like an invitation, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's not responded to because it's going out to a bunch of municipalities and they're looking for support letters or that sort of thing. And they're just waiting for a response. And then some things are forwarded on immediately if they're time sensitive invitations. I think the stuff that we're actually talking about is maybe stuff that is operationally related that comes into mayor and council, but is actually operational, maybe development planning. And either it's an amendment to the bylaw or we have a process that makes council, if you guys are feeling that it's necessary, that makes council comfortable, that those items are being taken care of. And that you're being appropriately, looped in if you're feeling that. And then we would need a motion for that.
Councillor Bushell.
Yes, like I say, I just, if it's addressed to mayor and council, I'm okay with it coming on to, like, if we get it, it comes on the next council meeting.
Mhm.
But sometimes they don't, right? So if sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if they do all the time, there's not an issue.
If there's a development application in progress or a bylaw coming forward, those correspondence are not just thrown on the next agenda. They're held for that report. So if you receive a number of letters, you actually have under the Local Government Act a responsibility to review that in the context of the application. So if you submit a letter on a rezoning application and it's very early in the process, it hasn't gone to council yet, yes, that letter is held until council actually considers a bylaw and then it comes forward to you as part of that package. And that's actually a statutory requirement. So we have to do that. So we hold those letters, there's a public hearing, we say we hold them to the public hearing. We do advise whoever submitted it as to what's happening. Your application is related to zoning 2301, whatever it is. If the public hearing will be scheduled sometime later this year, your correspondence will be included as part of that process. So that's the kind of thing we respond to. Council doesn't receive that letter because they don't have the context of the application before them yet. And you'd be receiving it twice. You receive it at the time that it's submitted without any context, and then you have to receive it again at the time of the public hearing when actual public input is being conducted. That is very common in municipalities for development applications. But the sequence of how development works under the Local Government Act is not necessarily how people understand it. So the first time they see the Castanet article, they send a letter in. So they don't understand that it's not going to be dealt with immediately. So we have to hold those letters, bring them forward to council with the report so council can see the context, understand what the application is, receive the input in that context prior to making a decision on that particular application. That's a critical piece. You have to have received that information prior to making that decision.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair. I mean, I think we're getting pretty into the weeds with this. I think what we're looking for is we don't want letters from, Nanaimo that wants to stop bunnies from running around or something. What we're looking for is any letters that come from our constituents, our taxpayers, that council gets to see them and they're unfiltered. If it's got my name on it and these people voted me in, it's my job to read their letters, and I don't want them filtered by anyone. I would like to see them. And you know what, Dean, I hear you, but again, we're pretty bright crew around here, and we can say, hey, this is going to be going to planning. For staff time moving this forward, it's a send button. The letters don't need to be, we don't need a background on them. If it says mayor and council, then it just should go to mayor and council.
Thanks, Siobhan. Go ahead, Shauna.
Thank you through the chair. In response to what Councillor Rich is saying, that would actually be an amendment to our bylaw, or pardon me, to our policy that we have in place right now. Sometimes it's not so much who it's addressed to, it's the matter of the subject
Content.
and what's in it. And the bylaw was put in place so that things could be dealt with efficiently and effectively by the department who would be responsible for it. Or if it's under mayor and council's purview, then absolutely it comes forward through the agenda process or is sent via email if it's something that's time sensitive. I think some of the items that we're speaking to, they may be addressed to mayor and council because the public, that's who they're addressing them to. But it's a matter that would be operational and handled by staff. And so it goes through to the department. And if there is a process, an additional process that we want to add to ensure, because the comment from Council Burchell on sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, it is a matter of the content as to why sometimes it is. The things that are governance and decision-making are brought forth through on a consistent basis to the agendas. It's the operational items that may be addressed and are not coming through.
So I just want to make a comment. I think that staff, we have a process in place that most municipalities do. We are running best practices. I don't think we need to change policy. I think that if stuff is landing on correspondence for us, 2 days after, or 2 weeks after we receive it, that's fine, as long as staff is acknowledging that that has been received, then that's fine as well. But I don't think we should start digging into processes so that we start dealing with mail that we don't have all the information on anyway. So I think that leaving this with staff is, and the process that we have in place is probably better for us, as well as not putting more work on staff. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I like to say, I just wanted it on the agenda just so you guys, like Ian says, there's a lot of times it's an awkward position when you can't respond. And yeah, you can ask them, but just as long as you know that if it's sent to us and it gets on the agenda, great. I understand the development thing, that could be months away. And we totally understand it. It's just the awkward ones that we need to know that we've received it, and as long as I know the taxpayer is being looked after and responded to. That's basically what we want to know and want you to know. That's what I would like anyway. So there isn't these great people come up to you and say, well, how come you haven't responded to my email?
And staff, you can confirm that these are dealt with and answered. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, and I mean, if that does happen, I guess we can ask them to send it to our email. Our email is listed on the councillor page, so you can send an email directly to a councillor if you wish on even an operational item. I've had people like that reach out on Facebook and say, hey, I'm having this particular issue. What I do is I loop them in with staff saying, hey, that's something you could talk to Dean about, and we can go from there. And that's a fairly regular occurrence, actually. People will do that, but I don't have a problem with it. I feel fine. I'm just trying to, maybe this is something that should be talked about at the next council too, at the beginning of the next council, is their kind of comfort level with that. But I'm fine. People find me. Like if they have an issue, the one thing I'm guaranteed is they'll find me, whether it's in a restaurant or whether it's on Facebook or whether it's going down the street, people will seek you out.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else? Any new? Councillor Rich?
Yeah, through the chair. I guess the other thing is a good question would be, how many letters do we get a month from our taxpayers?
We'll have staff do some research and send you a number. Do you guys know off the top of your head? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Ones that are coming through, maybe through information, corporate services, they're not that many. Ones that are going directly to departments like operations, planning and development, that sort of thing. We would have to look into what those numbers look like, but they're going to the appropriate departments. We don't actually get that many that are coming through as like the general sort of inquiries or general through our either corporate services or our information. Lots of times they are going directly to the group inboxes, emails for the specific departments, and we would have to look into that information.
Okay, yeah, I would be curious how many letters a month come into Mayor and Council that come from our taxpayers, not from the World Organization of whoever that are trying to, get our support, but that our taxpayers actually send. Because I can't see it being huge, and I don't understand why we don't actually get to see those.
Okay, you want to do a quick count and we can get back to council? We leave that with staff?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Evans.
I was just going to echo what Councillor Bailey said, that I think most people in St. Louis would just go and find one of them.
Exactly.
And not write a letter.
And they do. Like we all run into folks every day on the street having a chat.
Honest, yeah.
Yep. Okay, well. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a reminder for council, you guys do receive emails directly to you. And as Councillor Bailey had noted, if you forward them to me, then they follow through our process. If you don't forward them to us, they don't go into the correspondence process. So any letters you receive that come directly to you or emails you see, unless you forward them to staff, then myself or Shauna or Bianca or whoever is the staff member that would be appropriate for that piece, if you make that delineation, or if you just send them to me, that we'll make sure they follow that process. Without that step though, if that letter is just sent directly to you, and I don't see it, then I will not be able to.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let's carry on. Bianca, would you mind if we throw, Mr. Momus in here? Mr. Tardy? Hey, Mr. Tardy, do you want to come up to the podium?
We're gonna throw them? We're gonna throw them?
We're gonna throw him.
All right.
Did you forget about us? Literally just forget.
I don't know why.
It's okay.
But here you are.
Let's go.
Twice in one day. So, that stencil has been cut out, it's ready to go. If you could show me the crosswalks.
Oh, do you want just like a map?
The four.
So, on these, we want to put a soldier here, 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 here. And it would work out that that white's, the darker spot there will be painted in white. It'll be white right back to the curb, and that soldier set on all four corners, not these. So we were putting it in front of the Legion and in front of the Senate, and we still do that because of stand there. Because of one point. So that's changed. We're happy to put it there. As it says in the letter, the Legion will look after it. Then will come home. Paint it in again and do it again.
Council, any questions? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I'm glad that this has come back up again. I know there was some confusion on what was gonna happen, what wasn't gonna happen, all these other different things, but doesn't really matter. I support this. I think it's good. I'm glad that we have something to honor our veterans even further than what, you know, the Legion does on a daily, monthly, weekly. And I think the only concern I had when we had the meeting, Dean and I had a meeting with Legion staff, was just the understanding that there's road work being done there next year. But I think you guys fully know that. Like, I just didn't want the public saying, hey, you're tearing up that intersection after you did the stencil. But that's something already pre-planned to do water main work. But if you have the stencil, then it should be pretty easy to put back in. And yeah.
That's exactly
the idea.
and usually every year you paint them across.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the guy is not gonna paint around so we'll have to respray it after he does it. So the day after or whatever that he does it, we'll reapply the stencil and fill in the white.
Yeah, I fully support it.
Thank you, Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, Jeff, I love this and thanks for bringing it forward and thanks to the Legion for offering to put it in and then maintain it. So I'm 100%.
Councillor Beach.
Yeah, I love this too. I think it's great. It would be nice to have the commemoration on the street year round. And I just, think it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I support this, but I am concerned about a precedent that it might set for other organizations in our community that might want to do different things with their sidewalks, Pride Day or Mother's Day or Groundhog Day, whatever. If we say yes to this, you're gonna have to say yes to other requests, or maybe treat this as a pilot project. And then that way we can say, no, this is just a pilot project and we're gonna see how it goes.
I don't think that we need to change any bylaws, and I understand that when we did the flagged, that it sets precedent, right? So you do it for one, you have to do it for every organization. This could be the one-off that our community has decided as deemed important, and it's the one that, we're gonna pick, and if others come up, I'm sure we can have that discussion, but I don't think we should feel that this will set precedent. This is just, community.
No, like I say, I do support it.
Yeah. Okay. Dean?
So quick for council's clarification, so there is a policy that governs different components of council, but it is a policy, it is not a bylaw. So council, through what's being proposed on the regular agenda, if council were to endorse that agreement, that is the allowance. So there's an exception that can be done for any component that council feels goes through this process, as the Legion has done, brought the proposal through to council. Council considers it and provides an agreement letter. They're still in line with the policy. The policy doesn't disappear. Gives guidance to the general public, but this is the process people would have to follow if they wish to have some other sidewalk done in a different manner. So Legion has followed that process and council will consider that. And then this afternoon at the regular meeting, if council were to approve us to do the agreement, the letter of agreement is just a simple letter of agreement that they'll do the stenciling and the paint at their time and their cost, and they'll maintain the stencil and maintain it. And if it's impacted by our works, we're hoping that we're not going to actually impact that specific crosswalk with the water main. But if it is, it's just a straightforward. This is a much simpler stencil than the previous one. So it's going to be an easy application. The multiple bars, multiple colors was going to be costly to do for the Legion and costly to replace if we just dug it up the next year.
Jeff, go ahead.
I might just want to thank council in case you forgot. That is your part. The Senate is district property. It is your part. So thank you for allowing us to attach our soldier to your part.
Thanks, Jeff. And I think it's the Legion will be looking after it, and as long as you're aware that there's wear and tear on it and every year. Yeah, because you don't want it. You want it always looking fresh. Council Beach.
Yeah, through the chair. I feel like honoring our war veterans is kind of different from pretty much any other request we would be getting. This is something that we owe the people who fought for our country and died for our country. It's about anything, in my opinion.
Agree. That's why I'm saying it could be just our community, and that's rolling it in as just that. Okay, all right. Any more questions? Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes.
See is how you're going to bring this to council. Hold on, should I be here for that as well? I'm gonna be here for the other thing.
Sure. Well, you're gonna be here anyways.
Yeah, so just speak some later as well.
Do we need a resolution?
Councilor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair. Jeff, when are you thinking you're getting this in if it passes tonight?
As soon as the ink's dry and the paperwork, the stencil made, we have the paint. Just needed this agreement before, I could paint it tomorrow morning. Paint it this morning and you can see it. I thought wait till after you guys are playing.
Good idea. I'm glad to see you're changing your ways and waiting for permission and asking for forgiveness. It's a new Jeff in town. Excellent. Okay, thanks, Jeff. All right, 2026 property tax. Sorry.
We do have a record.
Your resolution?
I'm very sorry I didn't read that. I just rushed Jeff to the podium. Recommendation that the committee recommend that council authorize the installation of a commemorative crosswalk adjacent to the cenotaph in partnership with Sycamus Legion Branch number 99. Can I get a move? Thank you, Councillor Bailey, Councillor Bushel. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Okay, now Bianca.
Yes. So just an annual property tax collection update on where our stats were at this year. Pretty similar to to last year at
Almost
just
bang
under
on.
7.3% uncollected. One interesting thing is we have seen a decrease in deferments, likely due to the province's change in interest rates. It's now 2% above prime, whereas before it was 2% below prime. So a big change there. And we have seen an increase in number of homeowner grants claimed by due date, which is great to see. So we're over 1,000. 23 hogs were claimed by the due date. And yeah, one thing that we did note on our property tax insert this year is next year, the homeowner grant is changing for our area. There's a $200 top up to the homeowner grant for the northern through the province's budgeting process. That additional $200 is getting removed next year. So we tried to highlight that on our tax insert just to make sure everybody knows. So all anyone that these 1,000 taxpayers, that's $100 or $200 going away. So over $200,000 impact to taxpayers next year. 200,000. And yeah, we're working on delinquent taxes right now. So we're required to do a tax sale process if people are 2 years behind. But right now our collections are looking very good on those. We've have a handful left. So don't foresee a tax sale this year. Knock on wood. And yeah,
Thank you. Questions, Councillor Bailey?
I wonder the delinquency in terms of the number instead has stayed remarkably, constant. Is it the same kind of properties year over year that
stay delinquent?
Well, not stay delinquent, but are perpetually being late on their payments?
Yeah, I would say probably
Or less.
half.
Or not?
I mean, on just our delinquent list alone, there's probably a good 5 that we're pretty much buddies with.
Yeah.
Other banks.
Yeah.
Which, do you know what? Like when I worked in Salmon Arm, it was the same.
And they get paid just before the tax sale period? All right.
Move the tax sale period up.
Just before the tax sale kicks in, pay the tax.
Taxes.
Yeah.
We try, especially for tax sale, we try extremely hard to not have to do that because on top of it, like we still have to advertise for a tax sale, even if like the Friday before they come and pay it off.
Right.
We still have to advertise and that costs, good $300 for an advertising just to do that. So we try to, our goal every year is to not have to advertise anyone's property.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Hey, we'll carry on. Bylaw enforcement summer schedule. Nicole, do you want to tackle that one?
Through the chair, I don't have anything prepared for this topic. Is there something specific you want to know?
Yes, there is. I have received the schedule for bylaw and I see it 7 days a week and we do have 2, I think, contractors that come into Sycamoose, but they're scheduled to 4:30 every day, all of them. So last year, I think in the previous year, when our contractors came in, they were scheduled on a bit more of a rotation. And I think that as for a tourism community like ours, we should look at scheduling them a bit on a schedule. If you want to go 8 to 4:30, great. Then go 10, the next guy starts at 10 to, or does a week of 10 to 6:30, or the next guy does noon to 8, just more of a rotation, because not all bylaws are broken before 4:30.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how council feels about that.
But just to clarify, so the bylaw officer that works for the district of Sycamoose is 8 to 4:30, 5 days a week. That's full-time in the summer. That goes down to part-time in fall and winter. And then the contractor for the weekends and any days that the bylaw officer isn't here, it's just 7.5 hours. And so those hours aren't 8 to 4:30. And they've only had 9 shifts so far this summer. And so they've started as early as 8 and have stopped as late as 7 p.m. So they're not doing an 8 to 4:30 7 days a week. When I spoke with the contractor, like they can go later if we would like, But they're already going to 7 PM. And we do like to keep it a little bit unpredictable so that people don't get too compliant with their parking practices. And what we'd want to be mindful of is just like chalking at night and then checking in the morning and not having that gap be too much where, people have already left after they've overnight parked. So it's already, sporadic. We can change that up if there's a desire to do that.
I think when we got the schedule, though, everything was scheduled to 4:30. That's why the concern in the question came up. It was a schedule of 8 to 4:30.
It's good.
Yeah, through the chair, it's 8 to 4:30 for the bylaw officer and then 7.5 hours for the contractor. And that is not 8 to 4:30. It's just 7.5 hours. Sometimes it's 8 AM, sometimes it's 11.
Randomly.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Councillor Rich?
Yeah, through the chair, but I'm not quite sure why our full-time employee is working Monday to Friday, 30 to 4:30. I mean, it is the summer. We are a resort town. Why don't we have, so Monday to Friday, we don't have anybody past 4:30. And then on the weekends, like when I look at the schedule, then we have the gentleman coming in from Salmon Arm who may be random, who may be not. But I mean, things happen in the evening in Sycamus. That's when people are parking in the wrong spots or maybe noise bylaws or fireworks and stuff like that. So, Monday at 8:30, not much is happening in Sycamus. Monday at 4:30, there may be parking issues. So I think we really need to adjust to that. And for me, I would rather see our full-time employee who knows our citizens and is part of our community working through the weekends and working those later shifts, because then she has that relationship where she can go out and talk to people instead of having someone that has been contracted and maybe doesn't have the relationships. So for me, I would see the contractor maybe coming in on a Monday and Tuesday, and then our bylaw officer working on those peak times. Not it. I mean, it's bylaws not Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:30. It just isn't in a resort town.
Thank you. Councillor Bushel?
Yeah, through the chair, I kind of agree. It's like, I don't know if our bylaws changed, because I remember all those years, we were always working weekends and working after hours. And I don't know, I didn't realize.
Or specific bylaw officer or contractor?
A bylaw officer, right? And it's kind of changed when I saw the schedule. I went, 8 to 4:30. I thought that was strange. So like I say, we're a tourist town and it's nice to rotate, like you say, but it's good to have people there on the weekends for sure. Know what's going on.
Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we should take a look at in terms of if we are now standardizing our own bylaw officer to 8 to 4:30. I don't know if that's the best decision. I'd certainly one that I would question whether we should continue to do that, especially when they're at the full-time hours, even when they're at the part-time hours. I understand scheduling can be a little difficult. We want employees to have a predictable and understandable time off, things like that. But this does lend itself to a job that requires some different shifts. Because if you know that bylaw only works 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, that's a problem. That means the job isn't really doing what it's supposed to do. It's just too predictable. And so if we're on that schedule, I think we're creating some gaps that will just naturally emerge because people will understand what that schedule is. So, this is probably something that have to be taken offline, talked with staff and go back to Dean and HR to figure out what is our availability there in terms of creating a different schedule with some sporadic elements to it. And then, go from there. But it is pretty hard to have that job and have it scheduled 5 days a week, 8:30 to 4:30, and create what we want to create is some sort of deterrent or an idea that you should follow the rules because you just don't know. But if you do know, then, park your car at 5 o'clock, pick it up at 8:15, you're good, right? And I think that's where the system right now has some holes. So we should look at.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Rich?
Through the chair, and I mean, I remember on our first year, this was an issue. What ended up happening is John ended up doing like a split. And then even last year, we had coverage through the evening. It was a bit different. So maybe staff can just take a look at what was happening a year or two ago. And it actually was working really well with bylaw. So it wasn't like our full-time person did a split shift. And then from there, the fill-ins came in. So maybe that's something staff can look at and maybe adjust as we get through the summer, because that's when we're going to get our complaints. And that's really when we need bylaw is in the evenings and stuff like that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor McCabe.
Well, yeah, maybe I misunderstood, but our contractor don't they cover the random hours outside of the, 8 to 4:30 schedule? Isn't that covered by our contractor?
Nicole?
Through the chair, just based on this year's budget, their coverage is for any day that the bylaw officer isn't working. So if they're doing the Monday to Friday, then they're on the weekends, and then in kind of, days off in lieu of working the stat. So they're not working, there's no budget for them to work beyond 4:30. So if the bylaw officer does 8 to 4:30, they're not here at 4:30 till 8:30. Yeah, we would love, had a budget for it, we could do that.
I seem to recall in finance, I think that we said we need some more money for bylaw. This conversation. Nicole, is there something that you can do with the schedule and get us into something that's works better for our community and being a resort town?
Yeah, through the chair, I know there is some flexibility with, and maybe Shauna can speak to it too, with unionized employees and changing their schedules. And then, like I said, the contractor said they too can change their schedules up a bit if need. Like some of the things that kind of come to mind is in terms of traffic ticketing. That's been the contractor's main focus. I don't know if you need to build a relationship with people and you're ticketing their vehicles, but anything else bylaw related or bylaw complaint related is dealt with by like the district of Sicamous bylaw officer. So zoning, good neighbor disputes, that's all reserved for her to deal with rather than the contractor who, yeah, you're right, it doesn't, he's only here on the weekends based on our current contract. And so, there is a benefit for them to work like at least partly with the district team, so they're aware of what's going on. I appreciate the 8 to 4:30 in the office for my own opinion. And then, like we did reach out to other communities to see what their bylaw schedules are like. And so City of Revelstoke, for example, it is 8 to 4:30, and they do change their hours for special events. And we've done that too with some ball games and Canada Day, but like they're very firm. They say they don't answer their phones before 8 a.m. or after 4:30 p.m. And that's just the precedent that they've set for their community and the expectations for the community members. So we might be looking at something different, but I don't know if 8 to 4:30 is that unusual.
Shauna?
I just wanted to thank you through the chair. I just wanted to sort of support what Nicole was saying with regards to, we do have some flexibility within the collective agreement. We just need to have a conversation with the bylaw officer, and we need to give a minimum of 1 week's notice for any shift changes that we do. So I just want to provide that.
Yeah. Anyone else? Councillor Bailey. Oh, sorry. And Councillor Rich first, then Councillor Bailey.
Through the chair, yeah, maybe you can't call into the Revelstoke after 4:30, but I was there Tuesday and I got a ticket for spending more than 2 hours in place. So they absolutely have bylaw people wandering around Revelstoke. And I guess our big thing is, can you tell me how many bylaw issues is she dealing with all day? Is she sitting in the office all day? Does she need more support? Do we have a lot of good neighbor complaints? Can you tell me the number of the good neighbor complaints? Can you tell me? Because when I look back, we actually don't have a lot of dog issues or good neighbor issues. So how much office work does she need and how much time?
Councillor Rich, that report that Nicole just had shows all of those numbers. that you're looking for.
Yeah, which isn't like, it doesn't look like that's, anyhow, I'll leave it at that. We can see it.
Shauna, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think maybe just the resolution to this issue is to go back to staff. It involves a unionized employee and see what can be done in terms of some element of randomness in terms of maybe a few nights a week or a couple nights a week. And I mean, really, all we're talking about, the pressure points here is July and August. Is really what we're talking about. Outside of that, like you get into September, October, I mean, even someone parks overnight in a place that doesn't allow parking overnight, who cares, right? There's tons of parking. Sorry, that's me saying that, who cares? But yeah, I am, because I mean, there's tons of parking. The only time that we have a pressure point is really July and August. And then that becomes a little bit more of a concern because, you know, we're busting at the seams, but come after Labor Day.
And camp at G&G's.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've had friends camp at G&G, but they've asked for permission, and we do have customers that do that sometimes, but don't do it all the time, not in July and August.
So could we ask, or do you need a resolution or a motion?
Can I just clarify from, if?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would just, pass a resolution to leave it with staff to take a look at some alternative proposals and work with our bylaw to see what we can do.
I'll second that.
And to provide some more evening coverage.
That's right. Yeah.
All in discussion?
Chair. Maybe with associated costs too, a friendly amendment. Just this change in schedule, but any costs associated with the change.
We can certainly do that. We'd be looking at something that would have a net that wouldn't be additional hours, but we can certainly bring that forth.
Should be scheduling, correct?
Just for clarification, yes, we would bring forward a recommendation based on the current budget. We were to discuss the expansion of budget would come in next year's deliberations of the council as to how they wish to expand the funding for bylaw enforcement. Anything we would prepare for council to consider would be within the current budget. Unless there was absolute necessity, council may review what's within the budget and say we want to put more money to this, then we work within our current budget to identify where that money can go.
Just to be clear, my motion is to folks deal with it and see what can be done. I mean, this is short notice, I get. So obviously you'll have that discussion. And I don't think it has to come back to us personally. I think you've heard the comments from council, and now it's what can be done to accommodate this. If there can't be anything done to accommodate it, then I guess that's a discussion for next year too, right? Or it's a discussion that can come back to council saying, I need extra budget.
And we're keeping it net zero, like there's no movement.
Yeah, that's right. So that's kind of what I'm meaning from my motion, is that it goes back to you and see what you can do.
If council is comfortable with us simply communicating back to you what we've identified, what we're going to be doing. In
That would be great.
By an email, we won't bring it back to another.
Perfect.
Perfect.
We'll just proceed.
Yeah, and thank you. And as a follow-up to that, because we are coming up to the long weekend, we would have to give a week's notice. So make some adjustments for that critical time.
do it.
We'd be doing them right away. So I've captured that. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, 2026 general local election update, Shauna, as the time ticks down.
Thank you, through the chair. Bianca's going to bring up just some key dates. We're going to go through some key dates, and then we're just going to take a really quick look at, the corporate services team has been working on our website. So we're kind of coming to that time. First, we put out a call for election officials. Those are the individuals that come and help us, would help myself as the CEO and or the chief election officer, and Allison as the deputy chief election officer, help us administer the actual election. We had a great response, and 19 responses, and a lot of those individuals have worked for the district in the past. So we're really excited. So both is going through the actual hiring of those individuals and then training down the road. That was one step. Next was actually getting our nomination packages from the province. And those were received Monday. Our nominations just were put together. They will go live on Friday. They will be available hard copy packages down at the front desk, as well as PDF packages and PDF fillable packages on our website. So those will be live on Friday morning. So people can pick up packages. We won't be accepting nominations until September 1st. So 9 a.m. September 1st to 4 o'clock on September 11th is the nomination period. Yeah, and then we'll move forward in that. For that time period, we are proposing on August 18th, we'll do our pre-candidate information session, which we'll start putting out over social media, inviting those individuals who are interested in running as an elected official, and them coming in and just finding out, what is the role of council? What does this look like? What are the time commitments? And going through information. This is something that we usually do every election cycle. So we're proposing Tuesday, August 18th for that pre-candidate session. Then we will have the nomination period open, and then following the nomination period, right following is the declaration of candidates. And then we move forward to advanced voting session is on October 7th. And then the actual voting day, general voting day is October 17th. The one change that we are doing this year is it will not be held in council chambers. We will be hosting it out of the community space at the health center. Just a really nice flow that we can create there with sort of a lobby, with the lobby area, and then an in and an out through there. So that is the one change that is happening. Any questions?
Questions?
Shona, through the chair, do you have that posted on your website or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so maybe Bianca, can we maybe go to the website really quick and we can look at the elections page and so there and right there. And if you click on the little 2 arrow thing, it brings it up into so that you can see it. And then there's pages with regards to was the election officials, like, do you want to come work for us? And then the next is the candidates and going in there and having those forms. And then the next section will be voters, being a voter and having everybody sort of encouraging everybody in what it looks like to be a voter.
Any more questions? Councillor Evans.
Just a comment, I like how Sasquatch is the icon for the people that are running for county. Bigfoot.
Well, we affectionately call her Sassy. Sassy.
Okay, there you go.
Sassy.
There you go.
Excellent. Good information. Thank you. Wow, it's coming up quick. Okay, we are at mayor and council reports. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, got to go to Music in the Park. What a great night that was. Went to the farmer's market, not this week, but last week. And again, Deb Heap, we need to clone this woman. We are so lucky to have her. What a fantastic evening. And that's it for me.
Councillor Evans.
Ditto. That was great.
Councillor Bushell.
Yes, through the chair. We attended the Planning and Development Committee meeting, which was pretty exciting about 2 Mile and Old Town and, Shuswap Lane, Mobile Home Park. And then we have the OCP we talked about, shipping containers and moving permits. Yeah, so that was a pretty exciting planning meeting. Attended Eileen Whitehead, a fellow counselor. She was a counselor here, very first council. And attended her celebration of life. That was really well attended, and it was really great to see everybody out there to support the family. So that was really good. And then Deb's farmers markets are just amazing. So been out to those, and thanks for doing what you do, Deb.
Councillor McCabe.
Not much report. I attend Eileen Whitehead's celebration of life. That was very well attended. That's about all for my report.
And welcome back, Councillor Beach.
Thank you.
I hope you had a great trip.
I had a wonderful trip and I must say that I did think of all of you and think of us while I was on that trip.
Yeah, whatever.
I did, absolutely. And we compared favorably in many perspectives of how I was looking at things. So it was wonderful. Had a great trip.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Councillor Bailey.
Mostly planning and development, and that was a 3-hour meeting that we had. So lots of really good things coming to council in August, I guess. And yeah, just had a meeting with the Legion and other things, but just busy as summer. Summer is here, and I hope the smoke goes away.
Yeah, it was rolling in this afternoon, hey. Last Monday, I had a meeting with Splatsine, Chief and Council, and went over some of the issues that are of concern for our community, and some of those are, foreshore leases not being renewed, which is financial hardship for those that live on or that work on, have their businesses on the channel and can't get financial assistance to upgrade or improve their business. So without their renewal, it makes it really complicated. Section 11s too are still an issue. So had a really good conversation with Edna, and we are going to work together on putting we've put the letter together already, and we want to work together on going to the ministry and having this conversation with them, because I feel they have the same frustrations as we do with dealing with the province, and the province is very layered and lots of new people, and no one knows what the other guy's doing, and it's complicated. It's really complicated. So so we will work together on that, and we will keep advocating. I reached out to Minister Neil again, and we will keep advocating for our businesses in town and looking for Spotsy to support those businesses moving forward, because it's important for them and for us. I don't even know where the last 2 weeks went. I was at CSRD meetings. I've had many meetings with staff, developers, like just a lot of stuff going on in our community right now, which is really, really good. And you go down Main Street and you see the cabana and you see the new outfitting on the distillery, and it's just, and bikes everywhere. There's literally bikes everywhere. It's busy, it's vibrant, it's what we want, and what we're starting to get to where we want to be. So it's pretty exciting. Just a reminder that Vice Chair Kevin Flynn, his celebration of life is the 31st, 3:00 at Rogers Rink. And I'm going to be tapping out from August 10th to the 24th, and finding something to get myself into trouble with. So I will be away for those 2 weeks.
Are you talking about vacation?
We'll see. We'll see
Okay.
how that works. That's kind of it for me. It's just, time just seems to be flying by, and I just don't know where it's all going. But it's going. So now we have input from gallery. So does anyone have anything to say? Richard? Yes, please. And your name. We don't cut corners in here, We don't cut corners in here.
I had 3 concerns actually. Discuss where we're on unsightly premises. The property in the corner went up at Riverside is a disgrace. One-way houseboats.
Yeah.
You get a lot of international tourists going down Riverside on the way to the ferry. After they rent the bike, they go by that, and that's not a good first impression for this community. Why is it something being done about it? Other than speaking of e-bikes and people, why is there a proliferation of e-bikes, adults and kids on our sidewalks? Why is there no control of that? It's just a matter of time before somebody gets hurt. Not knowing what's getting done.
I think that it is being addressed and our CMP are watching and
Bikes are not you.
no.
Should have been addressed last year when they were starting to come on the street, but nonetheless, if you're saying it's something to be done.
I think there is an eye on it and bylaw can be on it too. And just as community members too, just remind people that e-bikes are not allowed.
Old church that was on Riverside. It's now a hole in the ground. Is that not a heritage building? Why was it torn down?
I do not know. I think I do know. I think that there was a lot, it was just rotting. It was, and I think the property owner thought to restore or move it just wouldn't make the trip. It was, yeah, because I remember being in there. It was, yeah. Mhm.
So something being done about e-bikes and the property of the old waterway property.
We can have staff look into the water. Go ahead.
So that particular property was noted in our planner's report at the beginning of the meeting. They've just begun grubbing, so the delay has been the developer just beginning the actual site works. Part of that process will be cleaning out all the material, removing all the fences. They've begun the grubbing work. They also own the site where the old church used to be. So they just begun that process in the last few days. So we're going to see continued improvement as they begin to move forward towards getting building permits for the new construction.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Richard.
Go ahead, Deb. Yep, please.
A couple of things. One, if you guys are around, just a reminder, it is the world famous pickleball tournament this week.
Wow, I forgot.
World
Yeah,
famous.
it's like, I mean,
FIFA.
wear the pickle costume, but the pickleball club is really doing the community proud. They've been over there weed whacking, sprucing things up. They represent the community well. Because July 31st is going to be happening before council happens again, I've got a couple deadlines coming up. I've got the contest I mentioned to you guys before. That's very casual, no worries. But I do have Communities in Bloom showcase submission. Is it possible to get a little bit of help from the district polishing up the submission if I need it? I'll try really hard to do it myself, but just talk to Sean.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, making it look decent. I'm not really good at that stuff, so I'll get that done. Farmers market is going well, but it was 30 something last week and it's going to be 35 this, which is challenging. People don't want to come out. So all you guys and all your friends and all your friends' friends, tell them how important it is to come out, because it's tough when you get the vendors out there and that's to keep for 4 hours and nobody shows up, right? We did have people show up last week, but it was definitely bad. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Do we have anyone online? Okay, well, let's call the meeting at 2:18. Could I get a mover? Councillor Bailey, Councillor Beach, all in favor? I was adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for being here.